Now the first two Volkswagen T-Rocs were instant successes, but what do you do about a third one? Do you stick with the same formula, or do you do something a little bit different? Well, this is a new Volkswagen T-Roc, so let's get stuck in. Now because this is basically a Golf underneath, you're going to get similar powertrains. So to start with, we're going to get a mild hybrid engine at launch, and then a year after, we'll get the full self-charging hybrid, and then following that will be the meaty T-Roc R, the sporty one. Now that's the one to look out for.
Now as for pricing, we expect it to be similar to the existing car at around £30,000, but at a slight premium due to the larger infotainment screen, which we'll show you in a minute, and a DSG automatic gearbox as standard. That's right, no more manual, but who was really buying a 3-pedal T-Roc anyway?
So as you can see at the front, it's a very familiar design, but they've just injected it with a lot more character, a bit more aggression. So you've got these angled lights here, the light bar that runs along here, the illuminated badge, this sort of 3D-like grille that sticks out a little bit. Overall, looks much more grown up. Now it's a pretty similar story along the side, so you've got pretty familiar look. So if we start down here, they've introduced 20-inch wheels to the T-Roc, which are a lot more sporty. This is obviously the R-Line with the black pack, so you've got black wheels, black door mirrors, black roof, etc. But I think it ties in the car quite nicely with the slightly wider wheel arches, the plastic cladding there, which could go grey over time, but we'll see how that fares as we get on. R badge here, obviously for the R-Line. You've got the black door mirrors, as I mentioned. Over here, you've got this more aggressive line here that widens out the track at the back. Obviously, this car is now 12 centimeters longer than the old one, so you've got a little bit more leg space, which we'll find out if that's true later. And then this slope roof line here finishes it off really nicely. Now I think my favourite part about this design is the back. So up here you've got this spoiler that follows the sloping line of the roof right down, decent sized window, then you've got the light bar that goes along here like the front, an illuminated badge. I might not be the biggest fan, but they're clearly working for someone. And then you've got the T-Roc badge in full. And I just like how they've compartmentalised the car. It feels very slick and swish. You've got these lines down here and then simple lines across, and then down here you've got this very simple rear diffuser, but hopefully when the T-Roc R eventually comes out we'll get some meaty quad exhaust pipes in there and that will look really cool. So now you join me inside. Overall, I'm really impressed with it. Up here you've got this recycled fabric dashboard, which I think looks a bit like a speaker, which ties in quite nicely with the rest of the design. While we're on speakers, you can option a Harman Kardon sound system, which I'd imagine sounds pretty good. Now in the middle, there is a 12.9-inch infotainment screen. That is now the standard size over the previous car, so you get a little bit more screen real estate. It's really smooth, really easy to use. If you've been in any new Golf lately, it's exactly the same setup as in there. Pretty much the same with the steering wheel as well. We've now got physical buttons again. Obviously we lost that for a little bit, it's now back. They're really nice to use. The gear selector is that same Volkswagen one we've seen in all the ID models, as well as the new Golf as well. And then we've got a 10-inch driver's display here with quite thick bezels, but when you've got the wheel there, it kind of blocks it off nicely, so actually it's fine. It's crisp, it shows the information you need to know. And then down here, we've got 2 USB-C ports, a wireless phone charger, a little space for your key, and then this little dial here that you can change drive modes and volume and that sort of thing. It's just really handy. You don't need to take your eyes off the road, you just use that. The central armrest moves a little bit. You've got a bit of adjustment there. You've got some adjustable cup holders as well, and this is overall about 5.5 litres of space, so you can put all the stuff you need to put in there. And then the seats themselves are really comfy. On the back, because this is the R-Line trim, we get the little R, but they're slightly bucketed seats, so they hug you nicely. They're quite comfortable, and you can get massage seats as well, which is really nice. And then you can look up there, and you've got a proper sunroof. Now there's going to be lots of different specs with this car, and it's going to get quite confusing when comparing it to rivals. So we've put a little nifty free tool in the Cinch app, a little comparison tool which helps you compare the cars, different specs, different trims, and see which car is going to be right for you. Now before I hop in the rear seats, let me just show you a new small design feature I've noticed. So if we look on the door, we've got this new door handle. It sits nice and flush with the door, it looks smart, fairly easy to use, but I have actually noticed that if you're not careful, you can get your fingers caught in there, so got to watch out for that. But as for overall space in the back, it's pretty good. So I've got loads of foot room, decent knee room. This is obviously a passenger seat, so I'm going to have a little more less space on that side from my driving position, but headspace is really good. Even with the slope roofline, I've got plenty of space. So down here we've got climate controls as well as 2 USB-C ports. Now if I try and slide over to the middle, I can show you that transmission. Oh my god. Okay. So there's quite a big transmission tunnel hump in there, so if you're in the middle seat, you're not going to be able to put your feet that sort of in the middle. They're going to have to intrude into the outer seats a little bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. And then if I sit behind myself, overall it's not too bad. Knee room is definitely a lot worse. I'm quite tall, I'm 6'3", so I tend to sit further back anyway. I actually feel overall a little bit more cramped, so I've just got to sit behind a small person basically. So as I mentioned earlier, this car has been extended by 12 centimetres. So how's it affected boot space? Now starters, powered tailgate, it's a very good start indeed. And then through here, I've noticed really flat loading lips. You can just slide things right in. There's also even more space under there for, I suppose, a spare wheel or other bits and bobs. But you can also lower it, eventually lower it really easily. Well, you can lower it really far down at least, and you can fit loads of stuff in here. It's 465 litres in total in this boot, which is 20 litres more than the old car. We've also got a little tow hook button there, so it'll swing out from underneath. You can fold the seats down in a 60-40 split, so if you've got longer items, you can just chuck them in. So as you can see, Volkswagen has completely overhauled the T-Roc. It's a much more handsome, aggressive looking car, which is going to be difficult for rivals such as the Ford Puma and Hyundai Kona to compete with it properly. And if you want to see a car that can properly tackle UK roads, check out our Fiat Grande Panda video here.